So I am here with Rob Cooper from Distinctive Gardens in what is the first ever show garden built by a South Australian contingent at the 2025 Melbourne International Flower and Garden Show. Rob, you must be very pleased with the results.
Absolutely. Been a goal, been a dream for a long time, you know that.
Yeah.
So to come over and with an amazing crew of people and collaborating with Jurgen Landscapes and Desert Flower Landscaping, plus we had InStyle Outdoor and Z Tiles and Underwood Builders. Our team has been amazing, and then the sponsorship and the suppliers behind us has been fantastic to support South Australian industry.
I remember, what was it, say 12 months ago? It was probably last year actually. I think you kind of had the idea that you were going to do it.
I rang you this time last year.
Yep. Said I'm going to do one.
Yep.
And then I remember you coming into Dry Creek with a 3D render and you're like, what do you reckon? I'm like, oh no, this is actually going to happen. So obviously you've been landscaping for a long time. Is this just a situation that you'd always had it in the back of your mind that you'd like to do it at some point, and you were at a stage in your life where you were ready? Obviously your kids are a bit older and...
I've always been coming here for 20 years and I've always thought I wanted to be able to do that and wanted to do it. And it was a position where if I didn't do it this year, it was like, I either do it now or I won't do it. So it was like a goal of mine was to do it. So it's nice to tick that list off.
And to win gold, obviously I've probably seen under the hood of your process more than I would have most gardens here. Yeah. I remember you telling me that you had advice that you want to make sure that you just go there and do the best you can, but not be overly disappointed if you don't take out gold. Obviously, you've taken out gold, best in show and best use of plant life.
Yes.
That would have been more than you expected?
Wanted
gold.
Was what I was aiming for.
Yep.
And you know me, I'm a pretty determined sort of person. So, but if you don't aim for it, you probably don't have as much chance to get it. So, you know, it was a pipe dream to get it, but you always got to aim for it.
Yeah, and I guess to say, oh, I don't really mind what happens, or, you know, as long as we produce a good result, that's all that matters. Sometimes I think you probably will deliver a lower standard, right? Because you're not chasing the highest standard.
Yeah, but if you're not chasing the best, then how can you deliver the best? And this is a situation where it's the best gardens. You know, you had an international garden show. You've got to put something that's amazing forward.
Well, there's that challenge as well that you guys have come from South Australia. So, you know, for the team from Jurgen and on Desert Flower, and then obviously the others you mentioned earlier, plus the plants from Heine's.
Yeah,
that's all being driven over in trucks, right? Yeah. So all of this had to be planned to the finest degree.
The logistics behind us building one compared to, say, other people here is just huge. It's just another layer and another, but that's also part of the puzzle.
Talk to me about the importance of South Australia for you. Like, obviously, the lion's share of what we're seeing here is South Australian produce.
Yep.
Like
well everything.
Yep. So like you've obviously, and there'll be a lot of sponsors that we haven't mentioned and that have been involved, but you've got it was important to you that it was a South Australian product.
It's been amazing. Like obviously you guys, Jeffries, you know,
the lighting,
Just Rocks, Light Impact, you know, Sarah from Tumbled, you know, and so it was important to actually build a garden with some mates and some people that I've, you know, had a long time in the industry with, and I thought it was really great to be able to share that. But it's also great to be able to showcase the suppliers that I've bought a lot of gear off over the years. And for me, that was really important to be able to showcase South Australia as a landscape industry. And I think it's really important that, you know, we do things really well, and it's nice to come here and show people how well we do it.
You've definitely put South Australia on the map when it comes to landscape competition. It's obviously, I know a few of the guys here. We've been coming here for some years now, and you're getting people coming up going, oh, SA did it. Yeah, SA have done it. Like, it was, obviously they know you, but I think when they're talking to other people from SA, they're like, your state did this.
And that's what we wanted to sort of portray. Like, it's, you know, I do get exposure out of it for sure, but it's you also want everyone who's supported you, but also, you know, it's just great that South Australians can see that we are up there on the national stage.
Well, world, I guess, right? I've spoken to a bunch of, obviously I've got relationships with a lot of the sponsors, and none of them really had to think about it when they were asked. It was very much, yep, we'll get involved.
Which was nice, you know what I mean? And you know, I didn't want to go and chase sponsorship. You know, I could have probably chased more, but it was more like I just wanted I wanted to do it for the journey. Like, it's something that I've heard of folklore, you know what I mean, as in the stories of building a show garden, you know, and for me, and the camaraderie you have when you go and actually work with all the other guys, and you know, when they're building as well. It's just...
Well, you were saying before off camera that the camaraderie between other show gardens, like there's not it doesn't appear like it's us against them. No. It's all of us together to deliver a result, and if we all get golds, that's great, right?
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely, and that's sort of part of it. But you know, I also wanted to, like, I wanted our garden on this avenue, because this is called the traditional show garden alley.
Yeah, so if 20 years ago when you were coming here, this was there
was 8 show gardens just down on this street, so it was just like you couldn't get a ticket. You know, it was just people back to back to back. So I couldn't imagine building a garden like that now, after doing this. But for me, it's just, this is the traditional spot for it.
Yep.
And so I pushed pretty hard to get this site because I wanted to build my garden on that area. Yeah. It's just a bit of history for me.
The show gardens are kind of split up at the moment, which I'm not familiar with. It feels like it's usually used to be all together.
It used to be all together.
Obviously, I don't know what the idea is, to maybe get people to move through the gardens more.
It's more to distribute people around site. And it was a nightmare, like, actually, to build with 8 gardens down this alley would be hard work.
Because you're all having to come in from the back, right? Yep. You can't all come in from the front and the sides.
Well, you have to. Half the time you have to go from the front, so you've got... It would just be bedlam, and that's why I think they've put them down the main alleyway. There's 2 roads there, so it's. But I think I like it better here.
Well, having those 2 there enables them to have that event, like they did last night, and they've got a feature garden as a stage.
Yep.
So that makes more sense, and obviously as the gardens evolve, or as the event evolves, there's a lot of that those nighttime events that people want to have.
Well, they brought 2. There's 2 twilights this year instead of 1.
Yeah, wow. Are they for as in for the public?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So that's obviously highlights how important it is for people to come in and look at it at night.
Yeah, and you know, it lets more people come in as well. So.
Yeah. So talk to me about the design. You obviously had a concept in your mind.
Yep.
Did it change much from the first concept, or is it pretty much what we're seeing here is what
it changed a little bit. Like, I had a little bit of advice from, like, so my structure was probably a bit bigger, and I had a cool outdoor kitchen in it, and just as for fun and entertaining area. But you know, my advice, or with judging criteria, you know, 67% I think goes to plants. 23% in construction, and 7% for brief. So, you know, like, it all gets to a point where you sort of had to design it back to what the judging criteria is, and a bit like, you know, not necessarily, but you know, I wanted to choose to do a different style garden. It's got all my styling in here, but I wanted to use predominantly native plants, because I just thought it'd be a really good challenge for myself to actually push myself to somewhere I haven't been. But then also just to get a really lush green, sort of modern native garden. I think that's what I was after. So you could have it in a residential application, and it feels like it's a really lush place to be. Yeah.
It's interesting, as you were saying, 67%. I'm looking around and I'm going, it's probably 67% plant life, right? Like, not that that's exactly what you might have been going for, but if that's the brief, I mean, you'd be crazy not to work to the brief. And I know that I've spoken to garden designers in the past that have said, I didn't care about the judging or the scoring. Yeah. I wanted to build this garden, and I know it's not in line with the criteria, so I didn't mind that I got a silver, or I knew that it was going to be the case because the construction's a bit rough or whatever, but that was the look I was going for.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you want to win gold, you really need to work.
You got to understand some of it, you know what I mean? And but look, I built a garden I wanted to build. I didn't build it just because of the brief, but I took that into account. Yeah. And you do that when you do any sort of garden anyway. But it's a case of you're not silly if you don't. But you know, like the investment
you need to be comfortable not winning a gold, even if you build the best garden.
Yeah. If
it's not in line with the brief.
Yeah. So for me, I'd rather go and put that extra time and effort into it and making sure. It was probably one of the hardest gardens I've designed.
In reality, in your day-to-day world, if you're doing a design, you have a brief.
Yeah, exactly right.
Your client says what they want, and you can obviously massage that a little bit.
Yeah.
But ultimately, most humans, I want this, and this is what I want. Yeah. So,
I'm lucky. A lot of my clients let me play around and not do what I want, but I'll work in with their brief. But it's like I'm lucky I can have a bit of a play around with what they do, and they trust me enough, which is what you want as a designer, to be able to have that flexibility.
This metal structure is unique, and it's full on. I was talking to Jason last night, and he was saying that, that was kind of getting loaded on the truck to come here the minute it was ready.
Yep.
was that one, I guess, the most challenging part of this, or like, is there a bunch of different unique challenges?
Well, Jace, I initially designed all the concept for the structures, and Jace, put the cantilever in there and stuff like that. So he's done an amazing job with those details.
The cantilever wasn't originally part of the...
Not mine. I just had a concept. I had that footprint there, and all the footprints I had and all the levels I had. But Jace sort of tweaked that up and put that structure into place, which is really cool.
To be able to get a vine to look like it's been there for 5 or 10 years in a garden that was built 15 days ago, starting or whatever, is ridiculous.
Well, that was Ian Barker said to me. He said no one's successfly ever done that before.
So you were like,
so that was the number one thing. But to me though, it just softens the whole look of the building. It's a beautiful, striking, stunning, modern structure. But in reality, it's still a pretty harsh. And so same with the steel. So with all the greenery around, in the mesh, as well as then the softness of the vine at the top there, it just nestles it all into the landscape.
I feel this garden, more than a lot that I've seen, looks like it's been here for a while. And I think for you to be able to build something and have it look like it was there, and so a lot of the photos that we've seen, the trees that frame this up look like they're part of it. Yeah. Whereas you do see sometimes people that want to go with a very, I guess a Californian style garden, and it doesn't fit the space, and it doesn't matter because that's what they're doing.
Absolutely.
But it's the photos I've seen of this. It just looks like it's always been here,
and that was the intent. And to Carl's credit, I asked for the plants to be like, the thermiter in there. Like, I wanted them seed heads just falling off them, and the plants almost filling down and spilling down. Like, that I wanted to look like it'd been lived in.
He did say it was a non-traditional grow for him.
Absolutely,
because their world is about having plants perfect the day they go out, and it's
So I take my hat off to those guys for actually working with me and actually delivering that.
It was good to see that award, the best use of plant life. I think that's the way to describe it. How much it meant to the Heine family. Obviously, Sarah and Carl were here yesterday.
I was so grateful they were here, and to get them up on stage when we won that was pretty cool.
The bond between you and the other guys. Obviously, you've got Malcolm and Jürgen, and obviously some of their team that are here, as well as all the other guys you mentioned before that have kind of come in. It must be nice to be able to build something, because obviously in your normal day-to-day world, you could argue that you're competitors, and you are and you aren't. It's obviously nice to be able to work with those guys and, overcome challenges.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, really, really proud to have everyone on board. And it's just great to be able to have that collaboration and to work with. And, you obviously use Jace's skills for, his working drawings and all that sort of the details on that. And then Malcolm's passion for,
everything.
It was like, but, Malcolm does a bit of work for me now. Now I'm just designing, so and that will continue.
Yeah, Jace is one of those unique guys that if he can't build it, it can't be built. And I remember over the years, we've obviously been dealing with him as long as we've been dealing with you, just seeing him do the most random, like I think he needed an electric gate or something for his house, and the price he got was stupid, so he just built it himself. Or just that's him, right? He'll just go build it. So and passion, like I can't think of a better word to describe Malcolm. Like just so passionate, and to be able to lend their teams to this, and like I said before, it's not a normal thing to do. This is a really unique thing to do, and a lot of those guys would have worked long days that traditionally you're not allowed to, or you shouldn't. So it's nice for them to be able to take back to South Australia that they were part of a gold medal.
Absolutely, and they can take that and hopefully it generates a lot of business for them over the the coming years.
It can't not.
The recognition should be amazing, and for me that's really, really good.
Thank you very much for allowing us to be part of this. It's it's really good. I'm proud. It's great to see a bunch of people that I've known for a long time come together and achieve something like this. I know it's probably hard traveling here for year on year on year and just watching and going, I think I could get that. I think I could do that. I would have done this differently. So I'm happy for you that you got what you'd hoped to get. This is really amazing.
Really happy.
Thank you,
stoked. Man. Legend. Thank you. Thanks.